1 in 5 Gen Z adults in America now identifies as LGBTQ. 1 in 5. That's one of the fastest cultural shifts in modern history. But they're not spreading out across the country evenly. They're clustering hard, pouring into a small handful of states while others stay almost empty. The gayest state in America has almost 3 times the rate of the least gay state. So today, we're counting down the 10 gayest states in the country. One ground rule first, this is by percentage, not raw numbers. Go by head count, and California runs away with it, with over 1.5 million LGBTQ adults. More than any state by far. A giant state can have a huge community that still gets diluted across 40 million people. So by percentage, neither California nor New York cracks the top 10. This list is about density, not size. Number 10, Rhode Island. The smallest state in the country and historically one of the most Catholic. But here's the irony. Rhode Island was literally founded in 1636 by Roger Williams as a haven for people fleeing religious persecution. Tolerance is baked into its DNA. Today, Providence runs on Brown, pulling in young artists and creatives. And because the state is so small, even a modest community moves the needle. And it lands Rhode Island at 6.5% LGBTQ. Number 9, Maine. The oldest state in the country by median age, which makes it a strange one to land here. But Maine's got that stubborn, rugged independent streak. The way life should be is basically the state motto. And in 2012, its voters legalized same-sex marriage at the ballot box. One of the first states to do it by popular vote instead of a court ruling. Portland, Maine is small, but it's become a serious arts and food town, pulling in young people from all over New England. That puts Maine at 6.5% LGBTQ. Number 8, Massachusetts. In 2004, it became the first state in America to legalize same-sex marriage. Boston is a hub, and Massachusetts has more colleges packed into it than almost anywhere on Earth. Harvard, MIT, and dozens more. And college towns skew young and progressive. Out on the tip of Cape Cod is Provincetown, an LGBTQ haven and artists' colony for over a century. Every summer, P-Town becomes the gayest square mile in the country, all of which lands Massachusetts at 6.6%. Number 7, Nevada. Nevada's whole identity is built on leaving people alone. It legalized gambling when everyone else banned it, and that same live and let live attitude extends to everything. Vegas runs on entertainment, tourism, and a massive hospitality and performance industry that's drawn in LGBTQ workers for decades. Add no state income tax, pulling people in from across the country, and you get acceptance through pure indifference, which puts Nevada at 6.6%. Number 6, Colorado. In 1992, Colorado passed Amendment 2, banning gay rights protections, and earned the nickname the Hate State. That law went all the way to the Supreme Court, which struck it down in a landmark 1996 case. Fast forward, and the state elected Jared Polis, the first openly gay man to run a U.S. state, as governor. Denver and Boulder turned into young, fast-growing boomtowns, legal weed, mountains, outdoor culture, pulling in transplants by the hundreds of thousands. That lands Colorado at 6.8%. Number 5, Washington. Seattle's Capitol Hill is one of the densest queer neighborhoods on the West Coast, and the whole state runs on young, secular tech money. A booming industry pulling 20-somethings in from everywhere, plus the Pacific Northwest being the least religious region in the country. Washington also legalized same-sex marriage by popular vote in 2012, one of the very first to let the people decide directly. All of that puts Washington at 6.9% LGBTQ. Number 4, New Hampshire. Live free or die isn't just on the license plates. It's the entire personality. No income tax, no sales tax, and a deep cultural instinct to mind your own business, which makes it a magnet for people who just want to be left alone to live however they want. It legalized same-sex marriage back in 2009, early for its time, and in a small rural state, a tight, established community pushes the number way up to 7.2%. Number 3, Vermont. Barely 600,000 people, and it's been ahead of the whole country for decades. In 2000, years before everyone else, Vermont became the first state to legally recognize same-sex civil unions. That was so controversial, it sparked a whole Take Back Vermont backlash, and the state just doubled down. It is consistently ranked the least religious state in America. Burlington is a progressive stronghold, and the whole place runs on a fiercely independent, do-your-own-thing culture. That puts Vermont at 7.4% LGBTQ. Number 2, Delaware. On its coast sits Rehoboth Beach, which has been one of the most famous gay beach towns on the entire East Coast for decades, with an entire community and economy built around it. Because Delaware's population is under 1 million, that concentrated community noticeably lifts the whole state. Wedge it between progressive Philly and DC, add tax-free shopping and beaches, and the small state that everyone forgets becomes one of the gayest in the country. Delaware also sent Sarah McBride to Congress, the first openly transgender person ever elected to the US House. And it all lands Delaware at a shocking 7.5%. Before we get to the number 1 spot, I did have an honorable mention, and that one is Washington, D.C. It isn't a state. It's obviously a single dense city with no rural areas, packed with young professionals and home to a large established community around neighborhoods like DuPont Circle. It's a city competing against whole states, and its number is staggering 14.3%, nearly double the number 1 state. And that takes us to number 1, Oregon. Keep Portland Weird is basically state policy. Oregon and Washington anchor what researchers literally call the none zone, the least religious corner of the country, where the most common answer to what's your religion is none. Strip away that religious pressure, add a city like Portland that celebrates being artsy, anti-establishment, and a misfit, and you get a place that doesn't just tolerate being different, it rewards it. That makes Oregon the gayest state in America at 7.8%. So here's what this list is really showing you. It isn't a map of where LGBTQ people are born. That's spread out pretty evenly. It's a map of where they go. Every state at the top of the list has the same 3 ingredients. It's coastal and New England, light on religion, and it's got a city, college town, or beach town where being out is not a risk. And once that community exists, it feeds itself. 100 years ago, this map wouldn't have existed. There was nowhere safe enough to cluster. Now there are entire states built around it. And remember that number that we started out with. More than 1 in 5 young adults are identifying as LGBTQ. The map is going to look completely different again in 20 years. If you find maps or geography or lists like these interesting, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button.